Hey, it's Thay, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about my fursuit. It is now 3 years old, and I realized that I've never done any kind of in-depth review on the design choices and why I kind of made them and what makes him stand out or be a little bit different from other fursuits and how I'm able to do stunts in him. So I think today it's just going to be a quick little head to tail detailed review of what he has going on. So obviously, if you can't tell, he has follow me eyes. That's a lot to do with the expressions that I can make with him. And kind of like a little bit angry depending on the angle of the face. Look a little bit silly. If you look at him straight on, it looks a little bit derpy because he's cross-eyed. He does have plastic teeth, which are actually pretty durable, and I've never had any issues with them. So yeah, but the mohawk kind of does all the way down the body. It is the only long fur he has on him, because I wanted to make sure I did real short fur because it's a lot easier to take care of and a lot easier to manage. It's also a lot less hot. So if you're gonna be running around doing lots of things, I would definitely recommend getting a shorter fur. Accessory like this is kind of fine. There's actually a big kind of foam fluff in here. It's just, I'm assuming polyfill. And of course these floppy ears that kind of curve towards each other. There we go. Yeah. So his eyes, they are a little bit wide apart and his nose is kind of big. I tried putting a VR headset on him. It does not work because they are too wide apart. However, because, let's see if I can get this, a good angle here. Because the eyes kind of, it's kind of weird, upside down, they kind of come around the side of the head a little bit. He actually has a really, really good field of view. The drawback to that is looking straight forward. It's a little difficult to tell, so what I ended up having to do is kind of move my head back and forth as I'm walking to kind of scan directly in front of me. But I think I prefer the wider bridge between the eyes because I like having a better peripheral vision in case I run into something. Okay, so moving on down towards the body, as you can see, the long fur is kind of a mane. I actually don't really brush it because I like to keep it a little bit messy. I usually do brush the rest of this, but it actually goes all the way down to the tip of the tail fin down here. And in case you're wondering, the tail is actually 5 feet long. I don't have any padding under the butt or like that. It just has, there is a front padding section filled with polyfill in the front of the thigh. And then there's another padding section behind the calf. The inside of the tail is also polyfill all the way down. It is actually a pain in the ass to unstuff and restuff it when I go to wash it. However, due to it not being a huge volume per se, I have been able to just wash it on cold with Woolite, and then I would let it do a spin cycle and dry it, air dry with a wetsuit fan that I have in the closet, and that works fine. I don't actually have to unstuff any of the pieces, even though I do have the option to do so. So the tip of the tail does have a squeaker in it for mostly safety purposes because I do get stepped on a lot. It does drag behind me quite a bit. I do have I guess a sleeve, if you will. I made it myself and just kind of cut out the general shape and have a zipper right about here, which comes up to here. It's been about 3 years and this thing looks practically brand new, so it's really been working. So I recommend if you do have a draggy tail, definitely make some kind of sleeve. If you don't have a shape at the end of your tail, you're actually gonna have a lot of issues trying to get a sleeve to stay on. If you haven't noticed, I do have my paws sewn on. I cannot take them off, which means I cannot partial. They do have a wrist slit, which I can button up as well. I can fit my thumb through here, or I can fit my whole hand out if I have to operate, say, my phone, for example. My preference as far as holding fingers in here is I usually do it about like this. I have the pinky and the ring finger together because they're typically smaller, and this usually gives me enough grip, enough hand strength, if you will, to do most of my stunts. And speaking of stunts, that is actually the reason I did get sewn on paws. That is because to keep them from flying off. If they were not sewn on, I guarantee you they would fly off all over the place. So you can see if I'm like crawling around, you'll see kind of my wrist slits probably most of the time, but no one really notices. Plus I'm wearing black Under Armour, so you really can't see it. So I definitely recommend sewn on paws if you're going to be doing lots of running around and want your paw to stay on. Otherwise, the convenience of having paws that come off is definitely nice, and there's a plus to being able to partial, but you can always just get a second set of paws if that's your concern. And yes, if you didn't know already, this suit is made by Twinky Arts, I think in 2017. The original commission price was $41.60, so it is a little bit to the mid-higher range of fursuit prices I've seen, but this is a very, very well-constructed custom-made suit of a custom species, so To me, I think it was worth it because it's been 3 years, and from considering how rough I've been with the suit, this thing has held up extremely well. If you've seen me at conventions, I do wear gear a lot of accessories, and you can see towards the shoulder here, I do have a tiny bit of wear. So when you are wearing accessories that are weight bearing, I would definitely be cognizant of that. Be careful because it is a little bit hard over time to get to kind of smooth the fur out to make it look nice and neat like this does. So I probably won't be wearing the tactical gear as much as I used to, if at all, just to save the fur from, you know, having to get real matted. You can't really tell anymore, but I have brushed out most of the damage on my left hand paw. This was actually when I had that plasma shield running around, because I had it strapped to right about here, you can tell, and it was brushing against here. So just be very careful with friction, whether you have long fur or short fur. And I did want to look at the stitches inside here because they are double stitched by request. They're very, very heavy duty. I have not really had any problems with these whatsoever. There are a couple of seams that if you're going to be very active, you want to be cautious of. One of them is right under here. So this is looking on the inside of the arm. This guy right here, where you're right underneath your armpit. So right out here. This is going to take most of the pressure if you try lifting your arms above your head, if you swing them around a lot. Typically the shoulder isn't too much of a concern on the top part, but down here is usually where fur might be a little bit shorter, because this is a very well-fitted suit to my body. So I definitely will notice tension, and tension can pop seams, which is bad. Speaking of pop seams, I don't know if I can get all the way down there. The other one that I would say be more cautious of has been a little weird, but literally the butt. Right about in here, there's actually a seam that goes along here, a seam that goes along here, the tail because there is a lot of weight to it, and the couple of the center seams because I have a color portion here. They all meet here in the middle. I don't know if you can kind of tell, but I actually have had to stitch this together, I think twice. But other than that, it's been fine after just a hand stitch repair. And that was about maybe a year ago. But that was kind of my fault because I decided to sit in chairs like a normal human being, and I have a giant tail, and it lifted the tail up and kind of popped the seam. There is a spot right here on my knee. You can barely tell it's there. I was at Anthrocon and decided to do a knee slide on some carpet. And again, friction is bad for fursuits, so don't slide on carpet. I can't really even recommend sliding on hard surfaces unless you know it's like a clearly laminated floor. There's not going to be anything kind of sticking up to potentially catch or tear on your fursuit. I did end up going with a bit of a two-tone design for the color scheme for him. Originally, I think he had spots. I was thinking about stripes. But to be honest, it's, in my opinion, best to keep it a little bit simple. Just kind of, I kind of followed a general flow of like a body type. I don't know what this is. But so like this would carry, you know, cover of the shoulders, is kind of contouring to the shapes of your body. And this is like your upper arm section, lower arm section. You have different colored fingers. And I kind of follow the same scheme as well, like down the belly, different color thighs and versus calves. And then the coloration is continued in that manner with the paws. Which brings me to my last portion, the peats, or the feet paws. Every Twinky Arts suit, at least as far as I know, has a tag on the right foot. They, or at least mine, actually do have a pair of slip-on shoes inside of here. You pick them out yourself, and they are very comfortable. They have done me very well. I do have indoor paws on these. I had made my own sandals to go outside with the feet. I don't know if you can kind of see some of the indentation of where those straps kind of go to protect the bottom of the feet. But I mean, they have kind of seen better days. They're starting to definitely show some wear and tear, but I am very, very rough on my feet. I run around, I slide, I jump on things a lot. So it makes a lot of sense for those to take most of the damage. Other than that, that is the most worn out part of the suit. And it's 3 years old. And I mean, this just looks gorgeous. I don't know what this gray fur is, but all of the gray portions on this suit are extremely soft. So yeah, just a quick recap here. I may be very biased when I say that Twinky Arts is an extremely well-made maker for fursuits. Never imagined the face being able to exemplifies so many expressions while just being a static shape. Because I can't change anything, the eyebrows don't move. So it's very impressive. But just to kind of recap, some of the tips and tricks that I would recommend looking for in a fursuit design is I definitely like the field of view. If you wear it a little long, you kind of get this weird cross-eyed feeling when you take off the suit head and you try to look straight ahead. I don't know if that happens with all fursuits or if that's just me. The feet paws, I definitely prefer them being detached. I know there are a few fursuits that do have them attached. I like taking my feet off because they get sweaty. It's very nice. Shoes on the inside is what I prefer. I have worn fursuits that don't have shoes on the inside. They do feel a little bit, they're definitely more comfortable. They feel a bit more loose if you're trying to go for a, costume, cosplay performance type of vibe, doing stunts or anything like that. And then of course, if you have draggy tails, which I am more partial to, they are fine. They're logistically a bit annoying at times, but it is cute if you hold them. And if you do have one, I recommend having a shape on the end, so it makes it a little bit easier to maintain having a sleeve on it to protect it, because otherwise this will get worn out very quickly, like the bottom of my feet, for example. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.